Welcome to the podcast, everybody. This time of year, we talk a lot about winter weather and the importance of driving safe, everyone needing to be prepared and pay attention as you travel. And today, we're talking to one of the key players that helps us serve the citizens of Nebraska as we at the DOT work hard to keep the roads clear. My guest on the podcast today is Schulz. He's the meteorologist here at the DOT, and he helps us try to predict what is often unpredictable, and that is the weather that we have here in Nebraska. His role has been very valuable as we try to tackle one of our biggest jobs to keep the roads clear during winter. I learned a lot in talking to Jesse, and I think you will too, so let's get to that conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Well, welcome to the podcast. I've got a special guest today. I'm always learning about the people that we have that work at the DOT and the variety of the work that we do. And Jesse, you have a very unique role here at the department. Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Jesse Schulz, and I am a meteorologist. I work in the operations department up on the hill, so I am in the state operations center, so I kind of forecast for the state, and I do a lot of different
So you're a weatherman?
I'm a weatherman, yes.
And how does one become a weatherman?
Let's see, I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. They actually have an atmospheric science department, so I studied meteorology there. I actually started as an architecture major my freshman year.
Oh, you did?
But I liked weather more.
You did. So, yeah, so when one goes into meteorology, we always, of course, just think of the guy on the news. But I would bet there's lots of other careers that you can take.
Yeah, I had 15 kids in my class. I think one went to TV.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot. There's National Weather Service. Most people go to grad school to do research. I mean, there's just so much that we don't know about weather. I mean, everyone likes to make fun of the weather, man.
Yeah.
We can pay to
I'm
be
sure,
wrong.
yeah,
So.
I'm sure that you tire of those jokes.
Yes. Yeah, I just kind of ignore them because that's what I get all the time. But I mean, there's a lot of research out there. So a lot of people go to grad school, actually. And
So how long have you been at the department?
it'll be 3 years in January.
Okay. How do you spend your days, and what's the primary function that you provide for us?
So I am the first meteorologist that has ever been employed by the DOT, so I'm still kind of figuring out, what my role is, but I've settled on Pathfinder, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I mean, I do forecasting for the districts, like do a district-specific forecast that kind of supplements what they could get from Weather Service or ITERIS, the MDSS. I calculate some snow, just kind of annual snow levels and, how that compares to the salt usage and stuff like that, and just a lot of other data analysis.
So what goes into a weather forecast? I look at the report you send, I look at the chance of rain when I'm looking at a tea time, and I'm trying to figure out what my chances are. How should I be interpreting that information?
Well, the percentage chance of rain is always a difficult one to predict, but basically the percentage is, like, if you're at a single point, what's your chance of raining? Or over the whole area, that's your percent chance.
Okay, so it's just like, it's intuitive like I would expect. If it's 50-50, then who knows?
It's raining or not, yeah.
I'm an optimist, so I always just assume. Well,
right. I mean,
for the best.
For my time here, though, I learned that it's not so much if it's going to rain or snow, but when is it going to snow? Because, guys out in the districts, they got to know, well, is it going to snow overnight when we're not in? We have to call people in. And
generally, we have a pretty good idea that it's likely to snow, but for them, it's very important to know when because of the operational implications of it.
Yeah.
If you're an hour late, now we're behind, and if you're 2 hours early, now we're sitting around.
Exactly, yep. And then if you're an hour behind you, there's already a half-inch of snow on the road, and it takes longer to clear that. And
yeah, because now people have grounded into the pavement.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so we're looking at a statewide view, but then you're trying to give each district and the shops in the districts a more specific forecast for them.
Right, yeah. I mean, they get one from ITERIS, but I just kind of supplement that, something that has an NDOT logo on it.
So how good are you?
I think I'm pretty good.
Would our district guys agree?
I think so. Depends on which one you ask.
We're going to have to ask around to be sure.
Ask the right ones.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, there's a big role in winter, and of course that's what we're focused on this time of year with the snow and trying to keep the roads clear for people. And it's an area that we do so well in. Whether it's the folks that we talk to after an event and compliment us, we get those kinds of things all the time. But even when we've done some customer surveys of Nebraskans, our winter operations always comes to the top in terms of what people appreciate about the DOT. So you play an important role in that. So that's winter, but what about summer?
Well, so summer, obviously there's no snow, but what happens to the roads is with all the blades going across and the traffic and the freezing is they tear up. So the road crews have to armor coat and fix cracks and seals, and well, they can't do that if it's raining. They order the oil and stuff like the night before, so it's not like they just order for the season. You have to order it pretty specific. So
on-time delivery. So
yeah, but if it's going to rain the next day, well, then you shouldn't order. And if you're wrong, then
you cost us so much money.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well.
So I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that goes on during the summertime. So
I wouldn't have thought of that.
You see, that's one thing I didn't think about either. But I mean, that's why I'm happy I'm working for the DOT.
Good. Okay, you mentioned Pathfinder, and that's a phrase I've heard before, but I haven't been briefed to know very much about it. Tell us what it is and why it's important.
So Pathfinder is a federal highway-sponsored program. It's basically an enhanced collaboration between National Weather Service, state DOTs, third-party weather providers, to translate weather forecasts into a consistent impact statement for the public so that they can get a better idea of when they should travel or not travel.
And so it's across states?
Yes, like I said, it's federal highway, so there's about 21 states that have adopted that under federal highway, and about 11 more that are doing Pathfinder stuff but haven't adopted. So about 32 states.
And the idea is to be more consistent in how we talk about weather?
More proactive, yeah.
More proactive.
Yeah, and consistent. If the DOT is saying something about a storm, you look at my forecast or the weather TV station. So if you see the same message across multiple platforms, you're more likely to believe it. So that's what Pathfinder is trying to get our message consistent and then put it out to the public so they hopefully will take heed of that and decide what to do.
That's interesting. So if the message is consistent across multiple platforms, so if I'm watching a TV channel, if I'm listening to the radio, I'm reading the message boards on the DOT's website or 511 or whatever, but weather forecasting is an art, not a science, or it's a scientific art.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if everybody's using a different source, then we're going to have different messages.
Right.
And so this is an attempt to try to get more consistent.
Yep. I mean, what we found and what I've kind of learned is like it's not so much the snow amounts when we're talking with the weather service, not so much snow amounts because 2 inches or 6 inches is probably going to cause the same impact to a driver. So it's making sure that we get the impact statement out. So your roads are going to be slushy. We would advise to not travel at this time.
Yeah, be prepared.
It's not so much meteorology. I mean, it is to a large extent, but the specifics really aren't important. It's what is that going to do to a driver?
Okay, I see.
And how we can minimize that.
So we just had our first couple weather events of the year. Pathfinder's new for us, so how has it worked out and what do you see as the benefits?
Well, I think it's worked out pretty well. I mean, obviously this is the first year, first couple storms, and we're working through stuff, but overall the communication was great. Like I said, the main thing is getting our message consistent, and that requires communication. So National Weather Service has a chat room.
So it's a communication tool, Pathfinder is, in part, yeah.
Well, that's probably what it is mostly, is just opening the door to the weather offices. We've always had a very good repertoire with our weather offices. They know us. But we weren't really like discussing actual weather stuff before Pathfinder. But this opened up a door to like, oh, hey, we should probably be discussing with the Weather Service about weather. So it's not just us. Like we have our DOMs in there. We have other maintenance personnel in there. Our communications offices in there, State Patrol, NEMA. So this is like a statewide effort. Everyone's on the same page.
And so the folks on the ground can communicate what they're seeing. Meanwhile, you can see what it is, tell them what maybe is coming next.
Yes.
And of course, our eyes in the sky at the SOC are helping share what they're hearing and
seeing. It's just an easy way of communicating. Pathfinder is to be more proactive. And like I said, it's our first year, and from my time, we've always been kind of reactive. When the snow starts sticking and icing up, that's when we start to message, but Pathfinder is supposed to be more proactive. If we're communicating with the weather office, we can know the forecast ahead of time, so then we can start to tailor our message beforehand, and that way people, before they get on the road, will know, well, should I travel or should I not? So the Thanksgiving one was a very good example. It's going to snow on Sunday, that was usually a heavy travel day with people coming back, but if we could tell them there's going to be a blizzard on Sunday on like Thursday, then maybe we should go home on Saturday.
It worked for me. I was in Minneapolis for Thanksgiving, and I came home a day early on Saturday.
Yeah, yep. So that's,
and I was glad I did.
Exactly. So I mean, that's what we're doing here. Talk with people in the SOC. We did think that the Thanksgiving one, there were less people traveling on that Sunday than in years past.
Although I will tell you, when I got back, I got several notes from people. They were very impressed with the activity that we showed, the operations that we showed, that the interstate was ready to go and people were able to travel. So it helps that there were less vehicles on the road, but so that, our guys did a great job.
Yeah, it's kind of a twofold in how it works. So we want people to be safe, so that's not traveling during the heavy snow and get off the roads, but if there's less people, well, then that means our guys have more space to work and can get the roads plowed quicker. So I think it's probably a twofold benefit here.
All right, well, Jesse, thanks for coming today.
Yes,
it's great to have you on the team. It sounds like you're providing a great service for us and helping us serve the people of Nebraska, and we're glad you're here, and I enjoyed learning a little bit from you today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right, thanks. Well, that was my conversation with Jesse. We talked a lot about the new tool, Pathfinder, and how it helps us be better prepared for winter events here at the department. As you know, winter can be long in Nebraska, so the more tools we have in our arsenal, the better we can be prepared to serve our customers. And as winter weather continues, we want to remind everybody, take your time when winter weather strikes, watch that weather and plan your trip accordingly, and know before you go by checking 511, either through our mobile app or through 511.nebraska.gov. And always, always buckle up.